Hi folks, today we're going to talk about how to discover our purpose and getting clarity around our purpose. Like there's different ways to get clarity around that, and then how to actually make a wonderful living doing what you love. And I hope my voice will hold. I have a little bit of a chest cold, so we'll see how it goes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ilsa. I'm an author, licensed psychotherapist, energy healer, and intuitive business coach. I essentially help purpose-driven, spiritual, usually service-based entrepreneurs to really discover their magic, own their brilliance, and charge their worth. All right, so let's get started. So I'm one of these people who truly, and by the way, my notes are right below. So if you see me lean down, it's because I'm making sure that I'm not forgetting anything. If I try to do any kind of long training or longish training without notes, I end up all over the place and it's a shit show. So I have my notes to make sure I don't forget anything, and we'll take it from here. So I'm one of these people who truly believe that everyone is unique and everyone has a gift, something that they were born to share with the world, a purpose, a calling, some kind of innate brilliance that is specific to them, however you want to put it. And our job as humans in some ways is to make sure that we share our light. I like the imagery of being a lighthouse. A lighthouse is rooted, it's grounded, and it shines their light. And their light is there to essentially show anybody who's lost how to find their way back. So there's there's 5 main ways to discover your purpose. And so we're going to go into each of those, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief description of each, and then I'm going to give you a question, something that you can ask yourself to help clarify if that's your way of accessing your purpose. So the first way to figure out our purpose is if you have something that comes easy to you, if you have something that you do effortlessly. And that could be anything from something you've actually created, a skill that you've created, or something that was gifted to you. Like you could have an amazing voice. You could have an ease with technology and understanding computers. You could have an amazing way of cleaning the house or organizing things that makes your day and your friend's day easier. You could have a way of working with energy, where you do energy work, where you shift energy, where you cleanse energy. You could even have discovered a great way to meditate, where you have this one practice that you've discovered that works amazing to help you calm your mind. You could have a great way of interacting with kids and making sure that kids are entertained. It doesn't actually matter what it is. It's essentially you have something that, one, comes easy to you, is relatively effortless, you don't have to work very hard at it, and 2, you enjoy it. So that's the first thing, is whether it's mundane or whether it's sacred kind of work, it doesn't matter. You have something that for other people is not easy. You have something that other people struggle with. I struggle with organization. I struggle with technology. I struggle with all sorts of things. So I appreciate people who have that ease, making their gifts available to me to make my life easier. So that's the first step, is to figure out what do I have that comes easy and is enjoyable to me, and that other people are going to struggle with, or other people don't find it that easy and might benefit from me sharing my gifts, sharing my effortless ease with this with them, or teaching them how to do it. So you have to discover what you're good at and what comes easy to you, and then you start offering that or teaching that to people who struggle with it. And so this is the question. If you want to know, and obviously this, I've been bringing up the question as we've spoken, but this is the question to figure out if you have a purpose that's in that category. By the way, if you're hearing a little noise in the background, my dog is snoring very loudly on the couch. So, Eleanor, like a trucker snoring. Okay, so this is the question for this one category of purpose, clarity. What comes effortlessly to me? What am I good at that I enjoy, that I could easily help others with or teach? Let me give it to you again. What comes effortlessly to me? What am I good at and I enjoy that I could easily help others with or teach? So that's the number one way. It's not the main way. It's just category one of figuring out your purpose. What comes easy to you and what you enjoy. Okay, this is number two. Number two, I call bless others with your mess. Or another way of saying that is what's been in your way, what you've struggled with, and what you found your way out of, or you've managed in some way, is often your gift. So if us as people, we learn through stories. We learn by connecting to others. So if you have a story, if you have something that you've done, that you've managed to get your head above water with, that you've managed to figure out or shift or change in your life, then you have a way to support others. Anyone who's has had struggles in some way and has managed them has a way of sharing that. There is always going to be someone who is struggling with something similar than you, and who's maybe not doing quite as well with it than you are or you were. And by the way, in this category, you don't have to be totally out of it. You just have to be a step or two ahead of the person that you're helping. So this isn't even like, I have a client who is dealing with chronic fatigue, for example. And she still has chronic fatigue, but she's found ways to manage it, to shift her energy, to listen to her own body. And so she uses that information, that wisdom that she's gathered to help others who are also struggling with autoimmune disorders. That doesn't mean that she's cured per se. There are people out there who help people who have cured themselves. In her case, she's not cured. She's just helping people who struggle with the same thing as her to live as full a life, as energized a life as they can, as fulfilling a life as they can. So if you have a story of struggle, if you have a story of resilience and dealing with your own head trash, making sure that you didn't become a victim of your circumstance, then you have something to share and you have something that people need. So, and I think, in some ways this is the absolute beauty of struggle, is it's one of the main things that really allows us to connect to each other. So that's the number two, is you can use your story of healing, you can use your story of resilience, you can use your story of mastering your mind and not succumbing to fear. You can use your story of coming back from something, of surviving something, of thriving despite something, of moving forward and moving on as the foundation for your purpose. And that is true from anything, a health issue, a failed marriage, a struggle with a child, finding your purpose and the struggle for finding your purpose and how you found your way there. Anything that you have in some way found your way through, you can guide people through as well. So the question you ask yourself in this category is, first off, the first thing I would say is make a list of all the struggles. All the main struggles you've had that have in some way, shape, or form really impacted your life or inspired you or changed you or anything like that, just major impact. And then once you have that list of maybe 3-4 struggles, then you're going to make a list. You're going to figure out, what have I learned about myself, about life, about the world through my struggle? What's my story of resilience? What's my story of survival? What's my story of thriving despite the difficulty? What is it that I have done and that I can help, guide, and share with people who are struggling with something similar? So that is number 2, using our mess to bless others. All right, the third path to purpose is passion. So maybe you don't have anything that you're really good at or that comes easy to you. Maybe you haven't had a major struggle that you feel you could use as the foundation for your purpose. Maybe what you have is, I apologize for the dogs barking. Maybe what you have is you have a passion about something. You have something that you really love, that excites you, that captivates you, that you have an ease and you're really excited to talk about, to share with others. And by the way, you don't have to be good at it. I'm going to share with you a story. I have a client who loves to paint, and she's loved to paint since she was a child. Except she can't really paint or draw. She grew up her entire childhood. Numerous people told her that she did not have an artistic bone in her body. But she loved it so much she didn't care. She didn't give a shit. She just continued to paint, to enjoy herself, to have fun with it, to take classes. She got a little better, but not that great. And now what she does is she helps women get over perfectionism and find flow and enjoyment in life through art. And a lot of her work is actually not about trying to make anything pretty. It's about going with the flow. She actually has a class that she calls Let's Make This Thing as Ugly as We Can. And it's essentially the entire purpose of her work is to release perfectionism, release attachment to outcome, and just enjoy the journey. And obviously she uses art or painting as her modality, but there's a lot of philosophy behind it, and she loves her work. And so you can use anything that you are passionate about, that you love to talk about, you love to research, you love to read about, you love to study, you love to share. And if you love to talk about something, then you're going to love teaching about it. You're not the only one who loves this or who wants to know more about this. And so that becomes your purpose. When I truly believe that when we have something that we love that much, that we're passionate about that much, then it is our job in some way, it is our purpose, our calling to share this thing with the world. And it doesn't actually matter what it is. It could be you love to talk about extraterrestrial life, healthy eating, aromatherapy, meditation, manifestation, the dangers of EMF, saving the planet, growing a garden. It doesn't actually matter. What I love to talk about change makers really owning their brilliance and making the income they desire while they're also inspiring and impacting the world. That's what I love to do. I love to see women who, heal the world in their own ways, change people's lives in their own ways, transform, be able to pay their bills, be able to travel, be able to get a massage themselves, charge what they're worth. Yep, I just inserted myself in that. So you are a vessel for that passion. You are a messenger for that passion. It is essentially your mission to share that passion with the world and to make sure that that passion gets anchored in and transforms people's lives. So here's the question for passion as your purpose. What do I love? What am I passionate about? What do I love to teach or talk or read or share with others who might be interested in the same thing? So that's the foundation of your purpose. All right, let's move on to number 4. So number 4 is a little different. Some people actually have gifts, like real gifts, like healing gifts, visionary gifts, intuitive gifts, a way of seeing gifts, spiritual gifts, memory gifts, or even physical gifts, like the ability to jump really high or run really fast. And that's not something usually that they had to do much to acquire, although the physical gifts is something that oftentimes you have to keep practicing, obviously. It's a little bit of a miracle oftentimes. They don't quite know how they do it, where it came from. A lot of the time they don't always enjoy it. And the way I look at it is, if you have something that was essentially gifted to you by life, that you know can transform people's lives, inspire, entertain, or anything like that, then it is a sort of a duty, kind of like your passion. It is your duty, it is your mission to do your best to share it with the world, and to trust it. Even if you don't quite understand it, just trust it, go with it, share it. So in this category, there's not really a question. Oftentimes, if you have a gift like that, you know what it is. And sometimes you don't even like it. But that doesn't actually matter. It's something that was gifted to you. Sometimes it's something that runs in your family. And what I would say to you is, find a way that feels good to you to share that gift. Find a path, a process to share that gift in a way that honors the gift, honors yourself, and honors the person with whom you're sharing it. So in this category, there's not an actual question. You have to know what that gift is. If there was a question, it would be, once you know what that gift is to ask, what is it going to take for me to really fully embody and own and claim this gift, and what's the first step I need to take to do that? Okay. Number 5, we're getting towards the end. So number 5 is a little less clear. Some people are just born teachers, leaders, and change makers. They know in their heart, in the depth of their being, that they are destined for something big, that they are here to impact, to inspire, to be of significance in some ways. And I've worked with quite a few of these people, but they're not always quite sure how. They're not always quite sure what's their way of impacting, inspiring the world. And I will say to you that this is actually, it's a very powerful way to your purpose, but it's also quite painful, because for this kind of person, they have a real desire to serve. They just don't know how. And this not knowing, it pulls them apart. It tears them apart in some way. So I'm going to tell you what I've told the people that I've worked with, who I think of to be in this category. For those people, the way to know your purpose is to start serving. Just start serving every day in whatever ways you can. Start serving. And when you're serving, find out, what was it about this way of serving that felt good to me? And start looking for patterns in how you served. The other thing I say to these people is look for things that inspire you. And same thing, when you find things that inspire, what is it about this thing? Why are you inspired by that? Oftentimes, this person, this born teacher, leader, change maker, they will start to see patterns. They will start to see patterns in the way they serve that feel really powerful for them and in what they find inspiring. And they will start their message, it's almost like their message will emerge from those patterns. So don't try to find your one thing. If you try to find your one thing, you'll get closed down. You'll shut down, because I think my sense is of these people, they're not here to find their one thing. Their purpose is not their one thing. Their purpose is to literally discover a new way of being, start a movement, start teaching like a greater vision of what it means to be human and what it means to have a fulfilling and full life. So once you have that pattern, once you know that you're here to start a movement, that you're still here to essentially begin a new paradigm of being, of thinking, of feeling, of showing up in the world as humans, then you have your way of teaching. And by the way, that way is going to shift and be different. For some of you, it's going to be a blog. Some of you, it's going to be a podcast. Some of you, it's going to be getting on other people's platforms and sharing your message, essentially your message about transformation, your message about what the world needs and what true service is. I think of these people as guides, preachers, spiritual leaders in some ways. They are opening us up to a new way of being more fully ourselves, a new way of being human, showing up, loving life, loving each other. So once you have your message as that leader, then your job is to simply start sharing it in every and any way that feels good and powerful to you. And then when that happens, because your message is your mission, then it starts to take off and it starts to spread. So for this group of people, your question is mostly, what can I serve? How can I serve today? And what inspires me? And what about this service or this inspiration? What is it about that? Why am I inspired by that? What felt good about that? And then look for patterns. And once you have your pattern, then you have to own it. So once you have your pattern, then it's almost like the person number 4 with the gift. You have to ask yourself, what is it going to take for me to fully own and claim this message, this mission, and to actually bring it out fully, boldly into the world? What I want you guys to remember when it comes to purpose is that when we're stuck, most of the time, clarity comes in action. So I always tell people with whom I work, who struggle with finding their purpose, is get some little bit of insight, some little bit of inspiration, some little nudge of something, and then act. Share it in some ways, offer something around it, and see how that lands. It's oftentimes in the process of taking action that the purpose unfolds. It's almost like the purpose is alive and it is communicating with us. As we act, as we move towards it, it moves towards us. So if you are unclear, don't wait until you're clear to start serving. Start serving, and then you will gain more clarity. And that's true. Doesn't matter which category you find yourself in terms of purpose. If you think, oh, I have an easy way of, I'm really good with computers, I'm really good with designing websites, maybe that's my purpose, I'm going to offer that. And you offer your friend, you offer one of your good friend or somebody to build a website for them, and you realize, man, I hated that. That was not fun. That was obnoxious. Well, obviously, if it's not fun, it's not your purpose. But you would have never known that had you not tried. So clarity always comes in action, just like courage. You know, the way to live and share our purpose oftentimes is an act of courage. And courage comes through action. We act by stretching ourselves. As we stretch ourselves, we get more comfortable with taking action, and suddenly our purpose literally unfolds. Think of it like driving in the night. You don't see all the way ahead. You just see the next little step. And every time you move forward with whatever little bit that you have clarity about, then the next step shows up. Purpose is that way as well. Okay, let's see here. And then I will just like to say this lastly, for many of us, it's a combination of all the above. That's definitely true for me. It is definitely a combination. I have some passion in what I do. I have some ease around what I do. I definitely have your mess is your blessing. Bless people with your mess. I have struggled with what I teach. I think some part of me did feel like I had something I wanted to give to others and I wasn't quite sure what it was. So I can find myself in a lot of these different categories, and I'm sure so can you. So you don't have to pick one category. You can pick a little piece of insight, a little piece of something in as many categories as you want. Okay, let's see here. What else do I want to share? One thing I will also say is pay attention to compliments. Oftentimes people can see what we're good at before us. So if you have people who give you compliments about things or tell you, wow, that's amazing that you were able to do that. Like somebody said, man, I wish I could look as good as you and put all these colors together. In compliments, oftentimes there is a message. Like this person is letting you know something about yourself, and pay attention to how you receive that. Do you dismiss it? Do you poo-poo it? Can you barely say thank you? Do you say, oh, that old thing? Essentially we do a lot of that, rather than saying, oh wow, this is potentially sacred information that's just been gifted to me, and honor it. Look at it, see if there's something there for you to offer the world that you just have had a blind spot about and haven't known that it was really there. So compliments are something to pay attention to. What people ask you for help with is something to pay attention to. Doesn't mean you have to say yes and help everybody all the time for free and just feel resentful. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have numerous people asking you for advice, or asking what to do in their relationship, or asking you about sex, or asking you about money, or whatever it may be, there might be some information that this is something you're really good at, and you have a great way of sharing it with others, and they want support with that. And then the last little tidbit I want to share with you is that it's never too late. So it's never too late to discover your gift. It's never too late to decide that you want to share it with the world. And it could be through a business, but it also could be through just sharing it in whatever ways you want. So I do not buy into, I don't have the energy, I'm too old, I don't have the time. Our responsibility as soul-driven humans is to share our gifts and to make sure that we do not die without any regrets, that we do not die with our song still in us. So there's no such thing as not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy. It's never too late. It's never too little. Any way that you can bring yourself more fully into this life and share your light more fully and your brilliance more fully is the way to go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about monetizing or money here. Money is an interesting subject, especially when we talk about purpose. I had somebody say to me recently, isn't it wrong to charge for, or to charge abundantly, like to make a lot of money on your gifts and on your purpose and on your calling? Isn't it supposed to be sacred? So right away within that conversation, there's a sense that money and sacred can't live together. That if you charge money for something, then you're poo-pooing it in some way. You're taking the sacred out of it. And so the first thing I want to say about that is that money is sacred. Money is an energy. It is neutral by nature. It is a flow. It is an exchange between people. When I tap into the energy of money, what I find there at its highest level is fun, pleasure, generosity, delight, love, creativity, freedom. Money is just as sacred as anything else. And the more money we have, the more we're able to give. So that's the first answer to that, is that money is a sharing of love. It's a sharing of our values. It's a sharing of our gifts. And by that means, or by that path, it is almost as equally sacred, if not as equally sacred, as our gift themselves. It is the divine in one shape. My second, more down-to-earth answer is that it's actually not about the money itself. It's about the exchange. It's about making sure that when we provide our gift, our light, our brilliance for the world, and we help people transform, that if we are providing something that is powerful for them, not particularly powerful for us, because if your gift, if your purpose is something that comes easy to you, then you might say, well, why should I charge a lot of money for me? This is so easy for me. But usually what is easiest for us is actually what we need to charge the most for, because what is easiest for us is usually the most difficult for someone else. So we are offering them something that is of great value to them. If you offer something powerful and that is of great value to someone, and you don't actually get back that same value and have an exchange that is balanced, you create bad karma. In some ways, the person who is getting your gift is not going to value it as much. Unfortunately, we live in a society where money is kind of the way we qualify and quantify what has value. So, you know, if you see a Tesla out there and they're asking for $3,000 for this Tesla, you're not going to say, oh, wow, what an amazing deal. You're going to say, what the hell's wrong with that thing? Like, is it going to blow up when I drive in it? Like, does it turn on? Like, automatically, when we see something that has a low price point, when it should be worth so much more, we don't trust it. And similarly, if you see a Honda and the Honda is $50,000, your first thing is not like, oh, I'm getting gypped. Your first thought usually is, wow, what's included? What makes this car so special? So money is intrinsically related with value, with worth. It's been proven out there that when we offer our gift and we undercharge for that gift, not only do we not feel great about giving it, but the people who receive it actually don't get the value that they could. I have a client of mine who does healing work, and she's got a great process. She is married to somebody who's very wealthy and has no need for money. So when she started working with me, this was more about putting herself out there, letting people know she had that, and she was working on a sliding scale. And she noticed that she would always ask people, like, connect with them the next day or a couple days later, ask them how they were doing, ask them if they'd seen any shifts. She noticed that actually the people who paid less on the scale, it was kind of like a donation basis. The people who donated less usually reported less changes, less transformation. And the people who paid more reported more transformation. And interestingly enough, it wasn't about what they could afford, because she actually had people who paid quite a bit who probably couldn't afford to pay that much. It would have made sense for them to pay less, but that's what they felt called to give. And so I challenged her to just set a fee that felt fair and that felt like a stretch, and to see what happened. And when she did that, almost everyone started getting wonderful results. So in this case, she actually donates most of her money, and she also has a fund for people who truly need her help but truly can't afford it. So that's the thing as well, is when you charge powerfully for your work, you allow yourself to show up and to help in ways that normally would not be available to you. When you undercharge, when you don't charge, not only do you kind of rob yourself and hold yourself back, you also rob and hold back your client or your person that you're helping from getting the most benefit. We've all been in a situation where somebody asks for our help and then they don't take our advice or they don't do anything with it. And that's partly because they haven't invested in themselves or in the work. So it is to your advantage, once you know what your purpose is, it is to your advantage both personally and for your client to charge handsomely, to charge well, to charge in equal measure to the transformation and the value that you are offering, both for yourself and for them. And we have to get away from this concept as transformers, change makers, leaders. We have to get away with just charging for our time. It is not our time that has value. My time doesn't have more value than somebody who works at the grocery store. Like the fact that they make a lot less money than me is not because my time is more valuable than theirs. We have to charge for the transformation we provide. And we have to charge based on no one can provide it quite in the way we do. This transformation that we are providing is unique. It is unique to us, and it is sometimes infinitely valuable. There's a story, it's a little story out there about this guy who goes to see this painter and has a painting made just for him. And so the painter does his thing, and in 20 minutes he shows up and gives him this painting and says, okay, it's going to be $10,000 for this painting. And the guy's like, $10,000? What do you mean? Seriously? $10,000 for 25 minutes? Are you nuts? And the artist says to him, you're not paying me for my 25 minutes. You're paying me for my mastery. You're paying me for the 20 years of experience that I've learned my skill. You're paying me for my artistry. And you're paying me because I've gotten so good at what I do, so skilled, that I can deliver you a masterpiece in 25 minutes. So it's not about your time. You do not charge for your time. You charge for the value and the transformation you offer. And you charge well because that's how your people actually get transformed, get change. Now, how do we go about monetizing this? Truth is, that's probably a much longer conversation than we can have in here. It depends what you discover your purpose is. It doesn't matter how you bring your gift out there. Maybe you just post on social media and say, hey, I work one-on-one, I help people do this. Hey, I'm really skilled at this. If you need help with this, let me know. Some of my clients work one-on-one. Some of my clients work with small groups. Some of my clients love to do workshops or trainings. Some of my clients, they work at a distance. They just do healing work at a distance. They barely interact. You are going to know how to share your gift when you have more clarity around your gift. And this is that thing about clarity and action and how action brings clarity. When you start to have an insight and you start to create and you start to put yourself out there and take action, you will discover what feels good to you and what doesn't. You will discover how you're supposed to share your gift, how you're supposed, what kind of business or program or offer to put together. And of course, if you want help with that, that's what I do. I help people both clarify their purpose, clarify their gifts, become really confident in owning their wisdom and owning their worth and owning the transformation that they offer. Pick a price that honors them, honors their work, and honors the person that they work with, and pick a process, a way of delivering their gift that feels really good for them and is really helpful for their clients. So that is essentially this training. This training is be in action, use these 5 different steps to clarify what your purpose might be. What are you good at? What comes easy to you? What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about? Do you have an inherent gift that just came to you and you have to share that? And what inspires you? How do you want to serve? And what kind of message are you here to share? And if you put these things together and you figure out what you want to make, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have, then you can put all of that together into an amazing process, a transformational process that essentially allows you to share your gifts, share your light, own your brilliance, charge your worth, and transform others, transform the world in your own way, in your own unique way. One of the things I do, one of the things I have right now is I have a free one-on-one session called Own Your Worth. And it's a breakthrough session. I work with people in clarifying their vision, clarifying their mission, discovering what's in their way, what's keeping them small, what's keeping them stuck, what's keeping them hiding out, and then charge their worth. And we create a map. We create a map on how to move forward with that vision and how to make that vision a reality. If that is something that feels exciting to you, that feels interesting to you, reach out to me. Email me, find me on Facebook, send me a direct message, leave a comment, and I will reach out to you. But find your way to me and let's get on a chat. Let's really help you create the impact, the inspiration that you desire while earning the living, the money that you deserve. Because truly, the world needs people who are on fire. The world needs people who are willing to share their gifts and bring about transformation. I think that's me. That's me for today. If you are still here, it was lovely sharing this with you, and I hope to work with you more. Please make sure you join my group. My group is, if you're seeing this in my group, then you're already in my group. But if you got this in an email or you signed up for it, in the email that had the link to this video, my group is listed there. I offer weekly lives in there, daily posts, valuable, mind-bending questions to get you to really stretch and to get you to take yourself, your work, your passion to the next level. That's it. That's me. I hope you have enjoyed this and you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.